Let's do this. It's a stormy day today. What's going on, everybody? Audrey here, the Fit, Gross, and Faithful Mom. Welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to be talking about how many hours a day does it actually take to homeschool? It's a question that I get asked quite often, and it's a legitimate question because in a regular mainstream school, you send your kiddos off around 7:30, and you don't see them again until 3, 4 o'clock, or even, you know, after that. So usually like a school day is around 8 hours, right? So Audrey, do I need to be homeschooling my kids for 8 hours a day? And the short answer, the simple answer for that is absolutely not. If you are homeschooling your kids for 8 hours a day, something is off. That means you need to subscribe to my channel. That means you need to continue to watch my videos to learn how to homeschool your kids more streamlined, more effectively, so that nobody loses their mind. Let's get into the video. All right, so my first tip for you, first thing that you seriously need to do is determine the laws for your state. So it's easy to say like, okay, I'm going to homeschool my kids for X number of time, but depending on the state and then depending upon your country determines how long you should be homeschooling for. And no, they won't say like you need to be homeschooling for 8 hours a day, but there are certain guidelines. So please make sure that you check your state laws. Where I live, there's not a set number of hours. It's a certain number of days that we have to fulfill. And I do know that other states require you to have a certain number of days as well. So please get on your state education's website. Check that out. I'm going to list some resources below for you that you can look at. Check out HSLDA because they are an excellent, excellent organization. Highly recommend you signing up with them. Just like it's like your homeschool insurance. I mean, come on, it's $70 a year. I want it. I want that insurance. In any case, that's another story for another day, but they do have helpful tips for you on homeschooling throughout the day and the number of hours. So that's number one, check your state laws before you go anywhere with that. Number two is going to be your child's age. I've seen different things, like if they're in elementary school or they're younger, maybe 1-2 hours a day, and then you start going up from there. But honestly, some days it just takes less time. I have an almost middle schooler. I can't even believe it. And some days, yeah, it'll take her an extended period of time. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. I have a 10, 4, and a 6-year-old, right? So that's 5th grade, 1st grade, and pre-K 4. My pre-K 4 kid, she does her regular little preschool work. She has her copy work. And so her different copy work, her math work, and all that will take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And she sits there with me while she's doing it. So yeah, usually on average about 45 minutes, like do all that kind of stuff. As far as history and science is concerned, she sits with us while she's doing it. Do not underestimate your younger students at all, because my 4-year-old copies notes off the board. She asks to do it. I have a little notebook for her. It's adorable. And one day she said, "Mommy, can I do that too?" Because I had Kai copying some of like the notes and whatnot. And our 4-year-old said, "Can I copy?" And it's awesome because was her penmanship perfect? No. But was she copying it? Could I read some of her notes? Yes, it was fantastic. Anyway, that's a much side note. All right, here we go. So that's 45 minutes for her, plus the science is maybe about like 15 minutes. So yeah, she is about an hour, close to 2. I do have her doing about 20 minutes of Homer. So yes, my 4-year-old is around an hour and a half. All right, so our 1st grader is, yes, usually around 2.5 hours or so. His morning little work, I have him do the day of the week, the calendar, and all that, and the months. Then he'll go into his math. And his math takes him about 30 minutes or so to complete. Some days it's faster, some days it's slower. He does all the science with us. We do Apologia. He writes the notes. He does the projects, asking questions and so forth, because I do lump our core subjects together: history, science. Math is usually on on their own. I kind of help them with it because they're doing different programs, but he is around the 2.5 hour mark because we do stuff together. If you're not doing stuff together, you're just running yourself ragged. Don't do that. Do stuff together, okay? Now, my 5th grader, she is doing IEW. She is doing the whole writing program. I'm going to link that below. It's wonderful that she puts on her headphones twice a week and she listens to the lecture. She takes notes. She follows along with it. She does her fix-it grammar on her own. Her, what else is it? Oh, the phonetic zoo she does on her own. So she's probably between 3 and 4 hours, I would say. It depends how much writing she has to do. Some days her writing is more labor intensive. It all depends on the day of the week. As the week progresses is when she starts getting into those more heavier writings. It takes a little bit longer. So there is that. So probably around 3 to 4 hours. Some days she's done with her stuff. Like, she is on her game and she's like, Mom, I'm done. And I'll say, did you check your work? No. Go back and check your work. But even though she didn't check her work, she still, with going back and checking her work, she still gets her stuff done. It's really awesome. So it all depends on the day, but on average, yeah, I'd say 3.5 hours or so. So pretty cool with that. That leads me into number 3. I just mentioned about the IEW and her watching those programs, about Corey being on Homer, our youngest. It depends upon the curriculum, so that's going to be number 3. Depending if you are doing an online learning program, virtual, I know some of the virtual programs you have to sit there for a little bit longer. For me, the only programs that I actually pull up are IEW and Math UC. So that's kind of why my school day is a little bit less. You need to take into consideration what those online, what those virtual programs are going to entail. What are they going to be asking the child to do? How long will the child have to sit there? So that's something to consider when you are looking at a program for your child to watch. Number 4, are they advanced? If it takes them 2 minutes to do their entire math worksheet, maybe, or book, whatever you so happen to be doing, maybe you need to challenge them a little bit more. Don't just start shoving things down their throat just to shove things down their throat and drive them nuts and there be tears, because I don't know, there shouldn't really be tears with your homeschool. The kids should be challenged that they're forming those connections in their brains, but they really shouldn't. No one should be like crying. In any case, talk to your kids, right? With our middle child who is in 1st grade, he's doing challenging math for a 1st grader. Like I said, like, he's doing 3rd grade math, which is like, it's mind blowing. It really is. Our 5th grader is totally on target with 5th grade math, but for him, I needed to challenge him a little bit more. And so I did. However, I have learned in the past couple of years when to stop challenging, because for me, I could do that stuff all day, right? It's easy. It's elementary school math. However, what you need to do is you need to look at your child and say, okay, whoa, okay, are you done? And you'll start to see like they're getting burnt out. And that's when you know to kind of scale back. Maybe you're giving too much, maybe you're not giving enough, and all of that. Number 5 is going to be feel your kids out with activities. If they happen to go into an hour-long discussion, whether it is in history, whether it is in math, art, music, let them talk. That is the beautiful part of homeschooling, is allowing them to actually discover what you're talking about instead of checking a box and saying, okay, we talked about Attila the Hun. Okay, we talked about the Egyptians. Moving on to the next subject. Moving on. Now, what you don't want to have happen is have the kids just keep talking because they don't want to go into the next subject. But you know your kids the best. We've sat for history some days and talked so much, and the kids have said, hey, can we learn more about this? And I have. I've shoved art to the side and doubled up on art and music for the following day in order for us to talk more about history. So there have been days when instead of us spending maybe like 30 or 40 minutes on history, we end up spending an hour and 20 minutes because they want to explore more about it. Don't be scared to do that. Don't be scared to take this homeschooling for what it is and actually explore what your children are curious about without straying too much from your actual like programs and stuff like that. So, all right. So those are my little for how many hours a day it takes to homeschool. Check your state laws. Depends upon the child's age. Depends upon the curriculum. Are they advanced? Do they need to scale back a little bit? Are you challenging them too much? Is that why it's taking like 90 minutes for them to do one subject? It shouldn't be that. And then just fill your kids out with the activities. One thing that I will say that has been super duper helpful is I started timing our oldest when it comes to math, because if I don't set a timer, she'll just sit there and like stare off in space and then say she doesn't get it and all that. No, set a timer, because you know what? Feeling that little bit of pressure is good for a human being, and so I like that. And it has been super helpful. It really, really has, because you don't want a child spending really 90 minutes on one problem. Helping your child to learn some test-taking strategies, some working strategies. Like if you're stuck on a problem, move on to the stuff that you know and then come back to it. So you'll get a feel for it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this video, how many hours a day it takes to homeschool. I will catch up with you next time. Make sure you tap that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, and I will see you next Monday for another homeschool video. I'll catch you on Wednesday for another faith video. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. See you next time. Bye.